This video is to go over some basics getting started in Google Spreadsheets. It's a very useful tool. One thing with Google Spreadsheets is you can copy someone else's spreadsheets and make changes to it. So I have a template set up here that I'm going to first copy. Now note, if you're looking at someone else's spreadsheet and want to copy it, be sure you are logged into your Google account first, otherwise it won't work. So we're going to click on File and go to Make a Copy. And I can put it into a folder that I'm already in, or I can find another folder to put it into. So I'll put it in my original folder here and click OK. Now I can change this spreadsheet and not make any changes to my original. So if I mess up, I will still have my original copy. Let's go over a little vocabulary working with spreadsheets. So in spreadsheets we have cells, and each cell is located in a column and in a row. So if I click here, I'm in column B and row 6, and this cell has the name B6. This cell here has the name C2. So we can locate where we're at by those cell names. When I click on a cell, notice that whatever's in the cell is displayed up here in my formulas area. And to actually create a formula, first thing to remember is that formulas always begin with an equal sign. If the formula is not working, that's the first thing to check, whether or not you remember the equal sign. This spreadsheet is a bank account, and it has a starting balance of $397.12. And then I'm going to decrease my balance by what I paid for my groceries, $47.95. Since the groceries are in here as a negative number, I can add these two cells together to get my balance after paying the grocery bill. So I'm going to click in cell C3, and I'm going to type equal, because all formulas begin with equal. And then what I want to do is take my balance, which is in cell C2, and then I'm going to add the groceries that I've paid, which are in cell B3. Now when I type the cell reference, I can either use capital C or lowercase c and capital B and lowercase b. It doesn't matter. Once I hit enter, I've got my new calculation, which is the $397.12 reduced by the groceries, $47.95. When I click on cell C3, notice up here in my formula area, I actually see my formula equals C2 plus B3 rather than the number that's being displayed on my spreadsheet. So when I'm done with my spreadsheet, some of the cells will contain original numbers and some will contain formulas that display as calculated values. For readability, since all these numbers are actually money, let's take a minute and talk about formatting cells. Since all of these are money, I'd like to format them to display that way. And up here, you can see I've got a format as currency and also format as percents, decreased decimal places, increased decimal places. And then this button here, if I click on it, I've got some more options. Different types of currency and accounting, scientific notation, date, time, those are all available. And then on this tab up here, if I click on it, I get some more formatting options. Bold, italics, text wrapping is nice. So those are all formats we can play around with. The format I want is money. So, and I want all of these cells, everything that's not a title or name, to display as money. So I'm going to left click on my mouse and drag to select both of these columns for my starting balance down to my electric bill. And then I can click on the shortcut button to format as currency. And then all the numerical values here, including the one that was actually a formula, are displayed as money with a dollar sign and 2 decimal places to indicate the nearest penny. If I make a mistake in typing or formatting, notice here I have an undo button. If I click undo, it will undo whatever I just did. And you can undo a few steps. Don't panic, because I can always redo, and I'll put my formula back in. And when I type this formula, I typed equals C2 plus B3. I want you to know a second way you can do that, I'll go ahead and delete that, is rather than typing the cell addresses as C2 and B3, I can click on the cell references. So again, I have to start with an equal sign. And I want to take my starting balance, so I click on cell C2, and that's automatically pasted into my formula. I can click plus on my keyboard, and then I can click on cell B3, and that cell name B3 is automatically pasted into my formula. And then I can click on enter on my keyboard, and I've got my calculation. I should put my currency formatting back in, shouldn't I? That looks nicer. Okay, so I want to complete my table. So I want to keep taking my balance and adding or subtracting my bills or additions to my balance. But rather than typing the same formula again and again, I'm going to click on this cell. Looking at my mouse icon, you can see it's a white arrow. But as soon as I touch the lower right corner of the cell, it turns into a black plus. So that black plus is called a fill drag handle. Once I've got my fill drag handle, that black plus displaying, I can left click on my mouse, drag down, and release, and it'll automatically bring down those formulas. To actually see the formulas, rather than clicking on each cell, I'm going to hold down the Control key, that's a CTRL key that's in the lower left of your keyboard, and then click the tilde key, which looks like a little squiggle. It's in the upper left corner of your keyboard. And I can make my spreadsheet display formulas rather than numbers. Holding down the Control tilde and clicking on tilde again, I can switch back to display numbers. That's nice when you're developing a spreadsheet. Some other things I can do to increase readability of my spreadsheet, I can put things in with borders. So I can click and drag. I've got a border formatting key here, shortcut. You can click on that, and now I've got borders around. If I want a little bit of white space around my spreadsheet, if I click on column A, so up here on the A, and I'm going to right click rather than left click, I can insert one to the left, and what that does is insert a column to the left, and then clicking on the number 1 here, I'm going to right click, and I can insert a row above, so one above, and then I've got a little bit of white space around my data, which makes it a little easier to read and stand out. Some other things I can do, when I copy the template, the name that was assigned to this file was simply copy of templates. I could give it a different name. So clicking up here on the title, I can edit by deleting, or I can type to add some information. Within the file, I have a worksheet, and I can have more than one worksheet. Down here in the bottom left, you can see this worksheet is labeled Sheet 1. I can give it a name by going to Rename. If I want to add another sheet, there's a couple ways I can do it. If I want to keep some of the formatting that's here, I could duplicate this worksheet, and now I have a copy of it. So I've got my original and my copy. I can rename the copy. And now I could edit it and change my grocery bill, change my gas bill. My paycheck's probably the same. And my electric bill. And all the formulas are still here and are completing the calculations with the same numbers, with those new numbers. Let's see, my starting balance from December was $629.24. I could put that in here. I can also add a blank sheet. That's what this plus here will do. And I've just got an empty sheet. I can drag it and organize it. And start a sheet from scratch. And all my sheets are there. And then they're all saved within this workbook.